The the G-Man. How you feeling,
Hey,
buddy?
Coach Jay, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's good to see you. I think we're going to give some people a couple minutes or a minute or so to get on here. We're live again. It's good to see you, buddy. You look good.
Good to see you too, man.
You feeling healthy?
I'm feeling well, yes.
That's a very good thing, as a matter of fact. Feeling well is a very important thing.
Although the COVID hit close to home this week. My brother-in-law's got it now.
No. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. He called me. It's funny. He called me last night and was just telling me he's in full quarantine and he's going through it. So
wait, is this the brother-in-law that went to Washington and had to come back, or no, lives in
yeah, he
Washington
lives
and
in
then
Washington. Yeah, he's
and
the
had to
one.
come? Oh
He
man.
works in Silicon Valley in California, but he lives in Washington State, Portland. So he
Oh
flies
man.
back and forth, and he got it. So.
That's
First person that's like that close to me that's actually got the version of the flu. So kind of crazy.
that is tough. Tough to hear. Well, we got some people on here. Dougie's here. Chuck.
Okay.
Kevin Capelli. Kevin Capelli. I will be reaching out to you today, sir. So good. Good. Well, I'm sure we're waiting for some people to come on here, but I think we'll get this party started. Uh, anyway, all right. Today's topic, today's morning break is about controlling the narrative. Now, in these times, we find that many service providers are going into split shifts. Now, we
Mm.
asked several managers throughout the country, G-Man, how are you leading and managing your people in your absence? Because what's happening, G-Man, is like, let's say they split the team, A team, B team. One
Mhm.
team stays home, right? And the other team is, engaged and working, right? So
Mhm.
they usually have either 3 days on and 3 days off, or you have 6 days on and 7 days off. So
Mhm.
it's varying from store to store. Now we talked to several of these managers, and it's not just service managers, but we're talking to parts managers. We saw a couple of body shop managers that are doing it down in the Atlanta area. We got people in California that are doing it. So because this is our subject and because of these conditions, as you can tell, I am wearing my hat backwards. I'm at home. I am doing my leading thing at home. And on the other end, you see Gary. He's in his work mode, button down shirt. He's engaged to be ready for work. He's going to be there with the troops. But I'm still leading. I mean, I'm still leading my team. So, in in the reason of this topic, we decided that let's be who we are, and we're you. So
Mhm.
today, what we're going to be sharing is what we've learned about the best practices being put in place by the most successful leaders in our business right now. And so that's what today's topic is about: managing or sorry, controlling the narrative even in your absence, especially in these times where things are a little chaotic.
Mhm.
By the way, before I forget, don't forget to like this page and turn on notifications to get the latest and greatest tips to improve your operations. That's what we're doing this for, and this is how we're impacting the community. So
Yeah,
G
and anybody that you want to share it with a friend, share it
please.
with anybody that's in the automotive industry,
Yeah.
independent trucks, you name it. And then remember, starting April 1st, for the entire month of April, every single day, I'll be doing a parts tip. So I'm going to challenge myself to come up with 30 parts tips and put them all up in a row. I've already got the first week scheduled out. So plan on seeing those. If you got a parts manager that or in your business that you want to that they want to take advantage of that. I mean, out of 30, they got to pull one or two out of there. It'd be worth. They're all going to be about 5 or 10 minutes at max. So please share that with your parts friends, and we're gonna put some really cool parts content up. So don't forget that.
For the record, G-Man, I don't do well with peer pressure. I feel it was a lot of peer pressure yesterday that you put on me. So I'm going to do my best to provide content for service managers and advisors out there. Um,
Okay.
so I'm not committing because I'm a commitment phobe, right?
Uh,
I'm commitment phobe. You are, you're not. You just do what you do.
I just jump in.
You
Yeah.
just jump in and do it. So, all right. let's get to the nitty gritty stuff. So, talking to a lot of managers, I've spent the last 24 hours, man. I was right after our last thing, we started talking. We had a great conversation with Dougie Fresh.
Mhm.
And man, he had some really good insights. He had some good questions. And so it sparked this topic and it made us go into like search mode, right? I got off the phone with Doug and I started calling people. Hey, I started posting things. And the feedback was incredible. Spoke to a manager this morning who called me back and said, "Yeah, so this is what I do every single day at 10:30 in the morning. We have a conference call. If it doesn't matter if you're team A or team B, it gives the opportunity for us to be just talking about topics. What are we experiencing? What are you guys knowing? And it's interesting because the representatives in the stores are the ones who are giving the updates to the people at home. For example, hey guys, we just got a shipment. We got a certain amount. The parts department representative will say, we just got a shipment of this. This is good. There's a little bit of a delay on this. This is what to expect for those customers. We're going to be informing them of this, and they're just keeping the collaboration of communication consistent in this environment because it's just two different teams. The interesting part is I asked them, I asked every single one of them, I said, why? Where did this idea come into place? Because it's an idea that's being used on the East Coast, on the West Coast, in Middle America, down in Florida. And so I asked this question and they said, oh, well, it looks like NADA came out with this guideline. And the concept behind it was what they wanted to do is inform and say, if you split the team, right? And let's say
Mhm.
one team gets infected, then you have enough time to, you know, decontaminate the area, remove those individuals. And then what you do is you split the next team again. Does
Hmm.
that make sense? Now, when I thought about it, I was like, man, I don't know if I would have done team A and B. I was thinking that I would do team A, B, and C because if you believe that one team could be infected and then you put in the other team and then you split it again, now you're even thinner.
Yeah.
But if you have three teams, then you have an ABC team working together and maybe have a combination. I don't know. I don't know how
Mhm.
that would work. I think people would be too scared that like, well, we can't have customers. I mean, we can't have employees taking 2 weeks off, right?
Mhm.
But if you're doing 3-day shifts, it would be 3, 3, and 3, right?
Mhm.
I mean, what do you think, G man?
I don't know. The it to I don't know, man. This thing is it's such an unknown thing. It's a confusing time, and if the what do they call it the uh your contagion period or whatever they want
Mm-hmm.
to say, the time in which you're contagious is could be 7 to 10 days before you have a symptom. If you're separated by 3 days, it's really not going to matter very much.
That's what I was thinking too. I was thought the
You know,
exact same thing. 3 days is not going to do really much.
no, it's not going to change anything. So, uh, you know, I know when they were talking about going to three day work weeks, my assumption was they were cutting the team in half just because they felt like the workflow was in half. But if it's a thing about being contagious, I don't know. I don't know if that's a fix for it. Um, yeah, to me, I mean, my personal opinion is, and from the people that we've spoken with, if you're going to be open, you're open. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it, and you have to, put in safeguards, 6 feet apart, and set your standards. Have your have your sanitizers out, clean the cars, and just focus in on safety. That's the biggest thing, I think, if you're going to stay open. I will say that I feel like we're veering off the topic.
No, no. I mean, controlling the narrative is
I don't want to
what
get
are
too
you?
far down that
Yeah,
rabbit
yeah.
hole of
I get you.
schedules and.
Yeah, no, no, I don't want to do that. But the thing is I want to share some of the things. Like one thing that I know for certain, and I gotta commend the people on here right this second, is you got Doug and you got Kevin, both leaders of a very large establishment. with a lot of advisors, a lot of technicians. And what they've done is they created engagement where they're telling their teammates, guys, why don't you go do this? Let's focus on what we can take care of. This is a great opportunity to sharpen our axe, like you said, G-Man.
Mhm,
Let's get online, let's do some training, let's get
mhm.
some content, let's see what we can do and get out there. I mean, that's why the majority of the people on here right now are those individuals that are really trying to sharpen that axe. They're trying to get information, go, what is everybody doing?
Yeah.
What is everybody doing right now? And especially
And I
in the
think that's,
yeah.
Jessarella says communication is key. And I think that's part of controlling the narrative is controlling that level of communication. And so to me, it's what are your people, what's the story that's going on in the heads of your team?
Mhm.
What are your people saying to themselves about this, about you, about the dealership, about your customers? I had a conversation with a advisor right before we went into shutdown, and I was asking him how he feels, about this, and he said, "Well, most of our customers are going to be in the high risk age bracket. Most of them are over 60, and we have a lot of old
Mhm.
customers. So we're not going to be busy at all. Right? There's not even going to be any work here." And and so as it turns out, now take that comment and now come after the shutdown, and they've got work. It's not a ton of work, but people are coming there. So is that true? Maybe to a certain extent, but is that the story that you want to be told to the guy standing next to him? So if this advisor is telling that to me, what's he telling to the guy standing next to him, to the porter, to the technician out in the shop? So now this becomes the narrative, right? The narrative isn't, hey guys, we're going to charge up that hill and we're going to keep fighting until the fight is over. The narrative is, oh, we're doomed before we start. And
Mhm.
we should never even go. And oh, it's just going to be bad. That's the thing. So you want to get out in front of that and control that conversation that's going on inside their head, so then you can control the external conversation. So when they're having that, when that advisor now is having that conversation with the tech, you want to make sure that what's coming out of his mouth is what you want. And so that's a very, very I don't want to say difficult, but it's methodical. So it's got
Mhm.
to be like constant, 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 constant. I used to say the one thing about Vicky Johns that I loved the most when she was the service manager there is that she would just beat the drum every single day
Mhm.
without fail.
Mhm.
And, you know, that to me is more important in a lot of cases than almost anything else, because it does control, what people, what they believe, what the goals are, and what the agenda of the management is. It is the narrative, it's the story, right?
Yeah, and also, I mean, there's going to be people listening to this and thinking, okay, well, it's good to control the narrative, but that's just vocalizing it, right? Telling everybody what we're doing, telling what's going on. I think what's really the hardest part of being a leader right now is getting access to what I call the grapevine of communication, and that's the
Mhm.
tunnels. That's the line of communication beyond. It's when the leader says something, and as soon as the leader walks away, everybody's chatting, right? The
Mhm.
meeting after the meeting of, oh, well,
Mhm.
that's ridiculous, and they should send us home, and I don't feel safe, and this is ridiculous, and da 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 da, right? Because what it does is it just spoils what the initial message is that the leader's trying to give and portray to control that, right? So leaders out there, be aware. Be aware. Have your connections, have your accesses to the grapevine, because if you don't, you can lose control.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I would commend you on. You're brilliant at that part of it for sure, and it is an Achilles heel of mine. I try to stay out of the stream as it is,
Mhm.
I think as a result of that, sometimes I don't have a firm grip on what's happening behind the scenes. I was just telling you a story offline before we got on here. I was telling Jair that when I was fixing this Dodge store just recently, I I was setting up all the processes and everything, and had everything going. Things were running really good. And I just happened to talk to a cashier and asked her about setting up an oil change for a customer at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock or something like that. And we were open until 7. And she's like, "Oh, we can't set oil changes past 3." And I said, "Who said that?" And she goes, "Oh, well, that's what the advisors told me. You can't make an oil change appointment past 3."
Oh, these
And so
guys.
you're dead on. So I set the standard. I put the narrative out there. This is what I wanted. And she was a new employee who came in, and the advisors took that opportunity to kind of
Mm,
go around me and kind of use their own agenda. And so then then the narrative changed, right? And I didn't know that it had changed because I didn't have a good line into the people. So I think what you're preaching and what you've been able to accomplish with that is great advice. If you're out there, you want to, starting the story, like I was saying before, having a story to tell, first of all, getting that story started, making sure that your people know it, but also making sure that the whisper down the lane thing, get yourself in the stream, find your contacts. And I forget, what did you say? What did you call it?
the grapevine.
Yeah, get yourself in the
Get,
grapevine.
got to get yourself into the grapevine. Well,
Get
it's
yourself
true.
on the grapevine.
It's true. What's interesting is these are the opportune moments. And I'm telling you, managers, people who are going to criticize me for saying this, because you would think it's absolutely crazy, but take this opportunity to empower the people that you would least think would want to step up. You want to empower the people with the biggest layers of communication line, the influencers. You know what I'm saying? We knew. I mean, G-Man, it's funny because you downplay it, but you were a genius, and so was Vicky. When I used to see it and I applied it, is if we wanted to do something in the shop, if we had an idea about doing something in the shop, you would drop seeds of like hints and knowledge to people like Lenny, people like
Mhm,
Art. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
The most influential techs in the shop. And then you would see and get their feedback. What do you think about this? Well, I think it's a good idea. I'll never forget so many times Art would go in and, yeah, I think that would work. Yeah, yeah, I don't see why not. I think we should try it. We should try. And then all of a sudden it just create this thing. So if anybody in the shop would have any pushback, right? Art would go to them and go, hey, we talked about this. I think we're going to try it. Let's just try it. You know what I'm saying? What's it
Yeah.
going to hurt? And so when you have that level of communication and you're empowering these individuals, especially in this time, because I've been asking a lot of managers, I'm like, okay, so you're the service manager. When you're not there and you're on the split shift, who's in charge? Well, I've made my lead advisor, the person who should do, because I trust him. Okay, why do you trust them? Do you trust them because they listen to everything that you're saying? Do you trust them because they're the highest performer? Why is it that you believe this person is the right person to lead a team when in your absence? Right?
Mhm.
And I'm going to tell you, G-Man, what I hear the most, and I hate to say it, is the reason why is because they're that person that they've assigned listens to everything the manager says. Right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Right? Which is not necessarily the best person to empower. Because you want somebody that can share the message and believes in your beliefs that has impact on others.
Yeah, you're looking for an influencer, really.
Exactly.
Excuse me, goodness gracious.
Bro,
Yeah, you're looking
don't
for an
make me
influence.
quarantine you, bro. Don't
I
make
know, man.
me jeez,
I got a weird cough. Oh, no.
holy cow. But you haven't gone anywhere, right?
No, I haven't left the
I
house.
haven't left either. So
5 days I've not left the
yeah,
house.
we're here.
But yeah, you're looking for influencers. You're looking for people that not just, I love that employee that is like super coachable, that says, "Oh, just tell me what to do, coach." And you
Mhm.
tell them, they go do it, and then they come back and they ask for feedback and help. And like, those are some of my favorite people because they just hunger for knowledge, and they're just anxious to learn anything they can, even if it's something small. Um,
Come on,
However, you're right on the money.
they're the brown nosers, baby. They're the brown nosers.
They're not always the best people to lead, or
Yeah.
they're not always the influencer. In a lot of cases, they're looked at as what you're saying. They're looked at somebody that's a brown noser, that's not going to be. They're not nobody's going to listen to them. So just be aware that if you're that narrative exists in your service department too, right? Who to listen to and who not to listen to.
I'll tell you what, that's the hardest position I think that to have is being that middle person, being the one that gets the information, and then you have to go and convince the troops to apply it, to be able to influence them, and using your influencing techniques to be able to convince them to say, hey man, this is something that we should do and it would be better for all of us.
Mhm.
Right? So
Yeah, I
that's a
agree.
tip I have. I say go find the most influential people in your department, even the ones that are the pranksters, and say, hey, look, in this time, I want you to step up. I want to give you the power to do something. And 9 out of 10 times, I've seen those people really taking the lead. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'll tell you what. There's this one guy, uh, one service advisor that I've worked with, fantastic leader. He didn't even know, he didn't believe in himself. And his name is Dylan. And I'll tell you what, Dylan wasn't really a prankster. He was more open, he was honest. He kind of called people out when you were doing something, but his moral compass, his ethic level was so high that when there was an opportunity for him to grow, like this company or this store got another store and they needed a service manager, right?
Mhm.
And I work closely with the management team there, and I said, I know I sound crazy, but what do you think about Dylan? And they were like, what? Ooh, and they started analyzing and thinking, oh, holy cow, man, this guy may be put into a role because he's an influencer. He was a huge influencer, right?
Mhm.
But he influenced people based on his own perception of what would he believe right and wrong. But thankfully, it aligned with what the upper management believed is what's right and wrong. The code of
Mhm.
ethics, that the core value system. And I think this is the time when leaders should do that. This is the time when all you do is it's like beating the drum, right? Over and over again.
Yep.
What are our core values? How can we? This is the time more than ever before where you really show yourself, your
Mhm.
true self, and say, okay, if we are what we believe in, if we are what we say we are, this is the time where our integrity is being challenged, right? And that's the hardest thing of all, man, is to do that. What do you think, G-Man?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, like you said, beat that drum, man. Right now, control that conversation, get it pointed in the right direction. Use this time to learn what we're talking about. You can do a little research on, what it takes to kind of get your message out there. There's a lot of books out there you can read,
Mm-hmm.
but I think right now, if you can get in their heads, understand what their stories are, work on yourself. If you haven't mastered this yet, or maybe if you've, sometimes we just get in the whirlwind too, and we just start to slip behind. If you feel like you're slipping behind, pull that back up again, and get in that stream of knowledge, and make sure that what your people are saying and how they're acting, and everything that they're doing is going according to your plan.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do that now, while we're in, whatever this crisis is right now, that will pay off dividends when we come out of this thing. When this thing starts to relieve itself, we start to come back out. You will have a strong foothold on your people's thoughts and how they look at you, how they look at the business, how they look at each other, and how they look at their customers, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have a really strong foothold on that, and that will help you when you go to implement something else.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, we were talking about this, a few days ago. Like, one of the most difficult things to do is, how do you get change to stick? How do you get people to do? Well, I think part of that is controlling the narrative, is making sure that you have a consistent story that's being told, and beating that drum over and over again really gets you into that gets that momentum, gets everybody kind of channeled in, and everybody marching up the hill in the same direction. And you can use that technique then to do anything you want. You want to convert better on oil changes, you want to add a night shift, you want to you want to move some stalls, or anything that you want to do in your shop will come from that technique.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So that's my tip. Empower your people, entrust in them, communication, consistent communication, and be aware of those um, outliers. Be aware of those individuals that could be the pranksters, that are the influencers. Look for those individuals and
Mhm.
ask them to step up, get their feedback, empower them with just the ability to communicate with them and just see their perspective on things. Because I'll tell
Yeah,
you,
learn.
and
Like,
learn.
figure out what their story is, and those are the people that are going to tell you really what the true narrative is.
Right, right, and they will tell you. They will tell
Mhm.
you. That's how you build
Eventually.
trust. Yeah, yeah, they will.
Might take a couple lunches.
All right, G-man, that's all I got for today.
Okay.
All right. Tomorrow is April 1st, right? So, um, G-Man, you're not going to come on tomorrow and say, "Okay, guys, it was April Fool's joke. I'm not doing any parts, any parts tips today."
Unless I can come up with 29 tonight, then I might do that.
Okay. Well, you know what?
I got some good stuff coming. I'm pretty excited about it, actually. I was thinking about it yesterday. I made a bunch of notes and started going through, and
Cool, cool.
pretty excited about what I got coming for you guys.
Well, I have a couple of things that I've thought about already, so I may just be jump on board and share those with you guys because I've gotten some really good feedback and tips and questions. So thank you everybody for being here. Tomorrow we go again live at 11 a.m. We've been starting a little bit early at 10:59, 10:58 to kind of sort of give some time so people can be aware. Remember, like our page and also turn on your notifications. We'll be back tomorrow. G-Man, you're looking great. Dapper, as always. Also, I want to let you guys know that we have been listening to our own podcast, and we cannot wait to share that stuff with you.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
excited.
I'll tell you what our guy has been doing. He doesn't want to be mentioned, but everybody knows who our director and AV guy is. Very famous, and he's been doing an exceptional job. So we'll be dropping that our podcast soon. What do you think, G-Man? Maybe next Monday?
This week, this is the week I got to get it up. So I'll get a drop dead date. We were shooting for Monday, and my son flew out to try to help me get some of the technology pieces done, and we're still working on it. So as of last night, we don't have it ready to go live yet, but we're getting a lot closer. So
man, and the first one is so juicy. I just want. Can I give him the title?
Sure.
Fight! Man, that's the best one. It's like fight right out the gates. We're going out with a fight. So
fight
I'm excited.
episode.
Oh my God, it's gonna be pretty good. We're gonna be
pretty good.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. I'll see you tomorrow. G-Man.
Okay.
See you later.
Adios.
Adios.